Welcome to the world beyond beliefs. Our held beliefs are the only things that limit what's possible. Conversely, beliefs are the very things which allow us to expand our possibilities. It's the premise of these podcasts that by examining our beliefs and seeing them for what they are simply beliefs, it's possible for us to change our lives for the better. So the purpose of the world beyond belief is to examine beliefs, not to prove them right or wrong, but to look at their effects on your individual life and also on our collective consciousness. Hi, my name is Paul Marco, and I'll be your host tonight for this episode of The World Beyond Belief. Accompanying me in this flotilla of information tonight is my compadre, Mindy Erkin. She's also the editor, producer, and general all-around technician on the job here. Also, she either serves as my straight man or I serve as her straight man sometimes. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for joining us for the Psychopath, episode 108. This is actually the second hour of a continuation of our dialogue on the Psychopath. So if you haven't yet heard the Psychopath 107, be sure to tune into that. But I think Paul's going to give us a quick review and catch us up, and we're going to continue with that discussion. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And just by way of a quick review, we were talking about the psychopaths and common characteristics or traits of those psychopaths. And so far in that list, we discussed the lack of empathy, the fact that psychopaths don't feel human emotions. They can't empathize with any type of human emotion. So they can't really be on the affective domain involved with life. They don't have those gears. And also, I think they lack an essential component of being human. Certainly they're humanoid, but I think without the ability to have compassion, you're really not truly a fully formed human. You can't understand art. You can't understand literature. You can't be creative. It's sort of a real bad position, although you'll find out if you listen to 107 and tonight that they certainly use that lack of empathy to their advantage. The second one we talked about was the lack of remorse. There are no guilts with, I guess, what do we say? Psychopath means never having to say you're sorry. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that a big line somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah, because they're not sorry for anything. They feel like they're godlike and can't make any mistakes. Also, another trait is their superficiality. They really have no depth. And if you look at the array of political candidates in the United States, and probably throughout the world, I certainly know in England, that they really are empty suits. It feels like there's nobody there. And since they spend most of their time on their external appearance, that's all they have. But they're really good at it. They also have a grandiosity. They have a very high inflated self-esteem, and that's another major characteristic of our predatory humans, species, the psychopaths.
Well, that makes them really good frontmen and actors and people in the limelight, doesn't it? That grandiosity feature.
Right. They feel like they're okay. You know how you get up in the morning? I don't know whether other people do, but I certainly go through this lack of confidence every time I start something. And I have to overcome that, and once I get started, I'm fine. And they don't have that temporary stopping. They can just get up and start being happy with what they are. Well, they won't
They
be
can be
happy.
whatever they need to be to get what they want,
That's exactly right.
right?
That's right.
Whatever it takes.
I almost said happy, but we've kind of decided that if they don't have human emotions,
Yeah, they probably can't feel happy.
maybe they can.
No, it's just must be very task oriented,
Right.
right?
And then we start talking about their uh, proclivity toward impulsive behavior. And the way they look at getting what they want, they have a real elementary way of knowing that they're good, knowing what they want is good, but whatever would restrict them from getting it is bad and can be eliminated and conned and eliminated any way they can. I want your money. Well, I'm hampered by the fact that we have personal property laws in most of the countries in the world. But how can we do away with that? How can we swindle you out of your money? We can do it by lying, extortion, and in the case of the resources in Iraq and Libya, we'll just take them.
Well, wait a minute. Let me stop you for just a minute and ask you, just review for our listeners why we're even talking about the psychopath and how that kind of applies to the world beyond belief.
Well, it's simply because, and we explained in the beginning of the last tape, I should have put it in here. It's simply because psychopaths are really focused on controlling your beliefs so they can control your perceptions so that they can ultimately control their behavior because they are totally power freaks. They're control freaks to the nth degree, and they really need to have power over you. And they do it through manipulating your beliefs. And I think that knowing who what's into your brain might make it a little bit more difficult for them to achieve that. It's like if I didn't know that you wanted to manipulate me into buying an automobile, I wouldn't be wary of the salesman that would walk up to me in a car lot. I mean, I know what his purpose is, and I can be ready to filter through some of the expletives that he might give about different cars and try to get to the truth. But knowing where he's coming from really helps me strategize and play in that arena. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's real important that we look at these psychopaths. And this impulsive behavior and doing whatever it takes to get what they want had them coined a long time ago, had them called the morally insane, because they just seem to lack conscience, empathy, and they just go for what they want. Another characterizer we talked about is impulsive lying. It's very easy and natural for them. They don't have any guilt about it. So they can just say whatever they want to say whenever they want to say it. And if you look at compulsive liars, and you'll find them mostly you'll find them in higher levels of government, you'll find them in high levels of organization, and also find them riddling the TV and radio and public relations industry. So, you probably, when you're watching a news show, you're getting a news anchor who's a compulsive liar, probably a psychopath, who's gotten his information from a government officer in charge of disseminating press conferences. So he gets news releases, and it's a liar repeating a liar's lie.
Wow, that's a good way to put it.
Right. So anyway, they're liars. Hey, and by the way, I like that word lying. falsehood, hedging the truth, da 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 da. I think we really need to use the word liar. When someone tells a lie, they're a liar. And we'll get into this on another podcast, but um, psychopaths, one of the tendencies of psychopaths is their ability to lie. They're also very manipulative. They're masters of manipulating other people, and we know that's because they're masters of analyzing people. Since they're kind of looking at our species from sort of an outside perspective, certainly free of emotional involvement, they can look right at us and say, oh yeah, that's what he does and this happens. They can be coolly analytical and really devastatingly effective at getting us to do what we want to do. Another trait is their antisocial behavior, and we kind of equated that with some interviews that we played, that they're kind of anti-life. They don't identify with people, animals, the environment. So all those things are there for their ticking. It's like a candy store. You know, here we are. We can do whatever we want to with this, and whatever gets in our way is bad. So we're really antisocial, anti-life. And that brings us up to about where we are right now, which is talking about the 10th trait that I've listed here. That many of them are subject to fits of pure aggression. And in that aggression, so here you have a person, a quasi-person, entity, whatever. No conscience, no remorse, totally bent on getting what they want. You can imagine when their pure aggression kicks in, the results of that. And often, very often, for a psychopath, it involves killing. It's said that many psychopaths start off by torturing and killing animals. Well, it's estimated that there's 1 in 100 Americans are psychopath. And I think other figures range up to like 4% of the population could be psychopaths. It's hard to tell. But these psychopaths are responsible for 1/2 of the violent crimes committed in the United States. So they're very geared toward killing. They like killing. Let's listen to CBS's interview with Hillary Clinton, who I contend could be a psychopath, in a reaction to the killing of Muammar Gaddafi.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed videos. We came, we saw, he died. Did it have anything to do with your visit? No, oh, I'm sure it did.
The reason I played that clip of Hillary laughing about Gaddafi's death is I think it emphasizes the lack of empathy, the lack of compassion, and also the sheer delight, the thrill in killing. When they interview psychopaths on death row, they talk about killing as being like heroin addiction. You know, they really get that temporary high. It really thrills them. So here's a woman reacting to the death of what was for many years an ally of the United States on the Security Council. I mean, it's amazing, but typical psychopathic reaction.